So there's many spiritual disciplines, and contemplative prayer is one of many kinds of disciplines. A discipline, I have a friend who really hates the word discipline. She really does not like to talk about disciplines, but the whole idea of discipline is something that you do regularly in order to be more, to grow in it, to get better, to do it, the more you do it, the better you get. And so contemplative prayer has everything to do with having a better relationship with God. Now, I kind of decided I was going to look up the word contemplative because I thought, wow, I wonder what the dictionary says about contemplation. And Webster's dictionary says that, first of all, contemplation is a concentration on spiritual things as a form of private devotion. But the second definition I like better. It says a state of mystical awareness of God's being. When contemplative prayer is done in silence, it is when we set an intention to be open to God and what God might be saying to us, what invitation God might be making to us, what word God might be speaking to us, anything that has to do with your relationship with God. Cynthia Bourgeau, who is an Episcopal priest who works with Richard Rohr out in Arizona at the Center for Contemplation and Action, has said that centering prayer is a boot camp of Gethsemane. Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane prayed and prayed for God to take the cup from him, to make it not be the way it was going to be with Jesus, but it was ultimately that he was giving his life over to Jesus and to God. And in contemplative prayer, we give our lives over to God. We let go of control of the moment, and we say, whatever's going to happen in this moment is going to happen. Kind of the suggestions of contemplative prayer is that you find a very comfortable place to sit, that you give yourself permission to not be perfect. Nobody is perfect at contemplative prayer. I love it that, which one? It's Thomas Merton said, the only thing that you can do wrong in prayer is to get up and walk out. There's no way to make a mistake when it comes to prayer. So what we're going to do is I'm going to set a timer. We're going to have 20 minutes of silence. And if you have never done silence before, just expect yourself to be uncomfortable. A lot of people are. And try to gently help yourself get past that discomfort, to let go, just, kind of let go of things as they come into your mind or whatever. And Cynthia Bourgeau has an image of being a scuba diver at the bottom of a river or the bottom of something that has water that's moving. And she says you're sitting in the bottom, you can see the top, you can see the ships that come and pass by, but you just let them pass by, and then you get focused on the rock that you're sitting on or where you're standing or whatever. That is, as thoughts come, you just let them go and just kind of see. It's all very much kind of a mystery. I can't give you real rules on how to do it. All I can do really is open up space for you to have an experience of contemplative prayer, and then for us to talk about it and to talk about what it was like for you. In the world of spiritual direction, I know people who are really into contemplative prayer. The suggestion is to do 20 minutes in the morning and 20 minutes at night. I have never accomplished that. And I don't feel at all guilty about it. The wonderful thing about contemplative prayer is there's no room for guilt. Nothing is wrong. Nothing is wrong. This is a place where we sit and we just experience the deep and abundant love of God that embraces us no matter what our situation is. So my spiritual director tells me that information is not transformation. So I want to offer a time of transformation and to shut up with the information and to give us the experience of contemplative prayer. So I'm going to set my timer. I invite you to be comfortable, feet on the floor. If mostly it's good to try to sit up and have support for your back. Do whatever is comfortable with your hands. I'll say, let us pray, and we'll have 20 minutes of silence. And when you hear my chime go off, then we'll come back to one another and we'll talk about your experience. Any questions? Excellent. So let us pray. Did you all hear that? Okay. You can unmute yourselves. So how was that experience for you?
It's hard to keep the hamsters off the wheel.
We call that monkey mind.
Well, I experienced that. I always have a trouble when meditating or anything to stay focused on what I want. My mind always has a tendency to drift. And I have a couple of prayers that I try to go to that try to get me back on track, you know, but it's very difficult for me to let go of what's going on in my life, what's going on in my world, you know, so it's difficult. And but you know, doing it and just saying those prayers, you know, my go-tos. You know, actually I pulled my book out of I cheated. I didn't go. So
that's all right. You were being recorded, Scott. So now we all are going to know that you cheated.
I cheated. So I come, but I do like to refer to my prayers, you know, and I have a small book of them. So I to be honest, so that's what it is. But after I do it, I feel better. Like it'll for the rest of the night, I'm sure I'll be at peace. So.
You know, you're reminding me that one thing is a tool to use for contemplative prayer is to have a sacred word that helps you to let go of monkey mind stuff and to bring you back to the center. So having a prayer that you go to, that's a very legitimate spiritual practice, you know, that brings you, it helps you to let go of all the busyness in your mind. And my sacred word is grace. You know, when I start thinking about all this stuff, I go grace, and it brings me back to this center, you know, where it's just me and God. So I think you did a great job. Good for you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Did I, can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Alice.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if I pushed the right buttons or not. But I just want to say that God has been so involved in my life and has done such wonderful things, although I've gone through some bad times. But he's always been there. And I just want to be God's faithful, humble servant and honor him in all the ways that I can. And that's what I'm living for.
Sounds wonderful to me.
And you do it well.
Ah.
Not sometimes my lack of knowledge though that bothers me a little bit, but I am so grateful for what he has done for me that I can never ever repay him in any way.
You know, that devotion to God, I'm sure, is very pleasing to God. I don't think it takes any knowledge to have that kind of devotion.
Thank you.
Amen.
Alice is an inspiration to all of us.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I did. God did whatever
God uses you. God uses you as a tool. You know,
I'm very thankful for that. Then I'm very thankful for that because it's been the things that have happened when I went through the rough times, and his coming into my life just when things are bad. It just is so amazing, and it just so it just things that it's hard for me even to believe how it happened. But so as I said, I just want to be his faithful, humble servant. So you have to tell me what I have to do to continue to do that. And sometimes I forget and bring my own way into things, and I don't want to do that. I want to be God's servant.
Well, all of us do that. We all we want to grab control back, but
Right.
your devotion and your sense of faithfulness in leaning on God in the hard times, that's a real precious gift, because I know a lot of people that get into a difficult time, and that's when they let go of God. That's when they
Yes.
start blaming God for things going wrong. But you have that precious gift of leaning into God and depending on God and knowing that God is carrying you. That's a precious gift. That's wonderful.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah. I know one thing that was in my mind as I was meditating was gratitude for all of you that have shown up here, because I didn't really think anybody would come. And I was feeling the depth of goodness of seeing your faithful faces and knowing all of you and being able to have that intimacy of 20 minutes of silence together. That to me is a very precious time. It's very rich.
Well, we thank you for doing this, giving us the chance to have this time to be together and to worship together in a different way. We're thankful to Rob for his worship for us in the church, but this is a different worship.
Yeah. Diane, were you going to say something?
I just wanted you to know my computer crashed, and I'm now on my my little iPad.
So actually, I wondered if this would be the most boring tape in the whole world of us sitting here but I will tell you all that I had this moment of thinking, did I hit the start button for the timer? So I opened my eyes and checked the start. So I think if we watch the tape, it's going to be more interesting than we think.
TV running around trying to restart my computer.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
And I had to turn the computer away because I knew that I would tend to watch and see what everybody else is doing.
You know what, Stuart, I had that feeling too. I thought, oh my gosh, I wonder if I should have told people to turn away from the screen, because it's such a natural reaction to want to look at the faces. I think that's why I got to the point where I said, okay, let me just imagine the faces and be grateful, So that's what helped me with that. But that was good to turn it away. I see Carla and Marge are muted. Is there anything you want to say?
I just stopped the video because I didn't want to feel like anybody was watching me. So.
That was smart too. I think that was smart, because then you didn't have to worry about what, you could be more centered. That was wise of you.
I gave some thought to the fact that, as much as we want to listen to the voice of God, our ego gets in the way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what prevents us from having the richness that we could have in our lives. And our ego defines us. It says, I'm worried. It says, I'm anxious. It says, I'm upset. It says, I can't do this. It says, I can do this. It's just constantly giving us messages about who we think we are.
Yeah, our egos sit there and say, feed me, feed me, feed me. That's why that sacred word is so important, because it's one way of breaking into that, that desire on the part of our ego to be fed, and you can say whatever you want to say, and you kind of break into it, and you can get back to that center place. But yeah, I agree with you 100%.
I will jump in and say that, you know, the focus in my life has changed in the last year or so, maybe no, doesn't matter. Because now I'm looking at what's life going to be after I retire. And there are so many little tiny connections to that. My teacher today said, so what are you thinking? You know, what's in your head for this? And I told him, I said, I really don't know.
You mean for the lesson that you were taking?
Yeah. And so I spent a major amount of time going through, just trying to listen to my heart and say, you know, what's going to happen 5 years from now? Rob and I have talked about my 5-year plan, which keeps on going another 5 years.
Good, good.
I was gonna say he's been doing the 5-year
That
plan.
sounds familiar.
But you know, as the years start to add up, you all know this. You know, the 5-year plan, which probably started out as, you know, wishful thinking, is now a little bit not scary isn't the right word, but certainly looming. It's, you know, holding its.
Not as secure.
Yeah. So I found myself, I was surprised when the timer went off. You know, I've been through this a couple of times with Jean and other seminars, and you know, 20 minutes is a long time. Geez, can I sit still for 20 minutes? But I was surprised this time.
I think that's what happens, Stuart, is that's why it's called a discipline and why we do it more and more, because the first time I did this, I was horrible. I mean, 5 minutes and I thought I was going to die, you know, and now I just kind of sink into the time and really enjoy the time. But that's why we do it over and over and over again, is so that we do get more comfortable with it. And you don't even do it that much. So yay, rah for you.
I didn't find that much difficulty with the time. In fact, the longer I sat, I think the more relaxed I got and centered on the thoughts I was having.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it wasn't an issue of time. It just sort of, it didn't seem like there was 20 minutes. If I had to guess, I would never guess. But it was, the longer I sat, like I said, the more comfortable I got in my quietness and my thought.
In any of you.
We lost your audio, Jean, I think. Did you guys lose her audio?
Did I lose my audio?
Yep.
There you are.
It's back.
It's back.
Okay.
You're back.
Okay. I was going to say, did any of you feel an invitation from God for anything, any kind of invitation?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
Can you say more about that?
Yeah, you know, the silence in contemplative prayer, the silence has a purpose to begin with, and the purpose is to connect us in a deeper way with God. It's not just a matter of being silent to be silent, or being silent to think thoughts in your head. You know, it's letting go, and it's learning to listen. In prayer, we do a lot of talking to God. We tell God what we want. We list it off, you know, God, do this, 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 and this. Contemplative prayer is, okay, God, what do you want of me? It is putting that space in our lives so that we can hear what God's invitation is to us. Jean, God invites me to be stronger, or spend more time in silence, or, this time around, I think that the invitation for me from God was to be grateful for this opportunity. That was God's invitation to me to end. So then I just kind of said, oh yeah, well, let me feel my gratitude, where do I feel it in my body, and all that kind of thing. So you just kind of sink into that. That's what I mean by invitation. My internet connection is unstable. That's the message I just got.
That's the other message you got.
What?
You got a message from God, and you got a message from the internet saying it's unstable.
I'd rather hear the message from God.
Okay. I use for centering prayer, I try to do this in the morning. I open to God's love and presence and God's action within. And so, I feel that, and I know when I'm faced with a very difficult challenge or anxiety in my life, I use centering, but I find in those times, it's very difficult to do the centering prayer. And Jean talks about a boat. In those circumstances, it's like a bunch of speedboats above me going all over the place. But I find afterwards I feel centered. And then for me, I kind of got the insight that in other parts of my life where I like to exercise and be athletic, if I go run and feel whipped and like I really push myself, I see that as a good thing. And I think I have to remind myself, if I'm struggling in centering or keeping focus, that's me working out in quietness. And it helps me later. Instead of, like you said, you don't fail. I'm not failing. I'm just running up a hill, and it's really hard.
Well, so what do you think God's invitation is to you?
In those hard times, especially, is to feel that love more and to rest in that. And that's what I've been feeling in my centering prayer lately.
Yeah. What do you think God's invitation is to you, Scott?
For me, is to, you mentioned the word gratitude, and I have two different, things on prayer, and I used to just pray for like a fire extinguisher to put out fires. And that was the only time I prayed, and this simple exercise that doing tonight. And when I do pray without the need of something, and let's say pray, and like tonight, as a matter of fact, I was thanking God. Now I don't have, I have a lot of challenges in my life right now, but he's answered, and he's been very, things could be 1,000 times worse than they are, and gratitude, when I am able to pray, without having to use it as something that I need, it's much more gratifying. And when I am reminded, like tonight, I was focusing on thankful for all the blessings that he's anointed me with, and that, and also I pray for like him to release me of my character defects, I need that, and just to give me the strength and to rely on him, to release me of those things that I struggle with, and I find peace with that. And I find more peace when I pray on my own without like a huge need, for something, when I can pray for gratitude or grace or items like that, I am I feel much more calmer when I end, and it seems like things get better for me, and also I think tonight I hear like it's going to be all right,
Mhm.
like for me, just knowing that it's really not in my hands, and what is, it's going to be, and it'll, at the end of the day, it's all right, so that's basically, I like to pray without having a huge need or necessity to have to do it.
So I get this image of God's invitation going, Scott, speak to me. Or
Yeah,
listen to me, Scott, listen
Yeah.
to me. I'm sorry, I reversed
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
yeah, no, I do.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. I think the big lesson of the whole pandemic is to understand that God is in charge and we're not in control. I think there's a huge spiritual lesson to be learned. Some people can learn it, and I'm not sure others can. Anything else? Like I used to say, for the good of the kingdom.
I feel like you did too, that God is in charge of this. He's not doing it deliberately or anything like that, but he is supposed to teach us a lesson in what we're going through, this COVID deal and everything. There's something more behind it, that to teach us the lesson that God wants us to either become more considerate of other people, or what it is. I'm not just sure, but I just feel that there's more behind it than what we're experiencing, or what we think there is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was definitely feeling like God was telling me I need to reach out more. I need to just reach out more
Mm-hmm.
and not be so in myself.
Yeah.
I think it's a very difficult time it would be easy to just kind of curl in and curl up and go in a corner, and everything is being so closed down and everything. So with an invitation to reach out more, there's all sorts of very safe ways that you can go about reaching out.
Mm-hmm.
That's a wonderful invitation. I think God is inviting us to call it a night, Rob. What do you think?
Sounds good to me. We said about this time frame, Zoom, and it's an interesting thing. I love Zoom and the ability to be together, but there's also fatigue in that, right?
Yes.
And being on the screen. So this was wonderful. Thank you so much, Jean. Thank you. I think we have half the health cabinet here. Thank you, health cabinet.
Oh, so Anne and
Not quite.
Marge and Diane are the health cabinet, huh?
Part of it.
Yep.
Well, I'm delighted to see Scott and Alice and Carla here too. So thank you for coming.
So
Thank you.
that's it. So thank you guys. Have many blessings, and we'll
Thank you, Jean.
do
We
something
appreciate.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
All
Thank
of
you. Thank you
love
so much.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Thank you,
I
Jean.
feel so much better. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.